Hello, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eyderstein, and we are back for another installment of the reading from the book Byways of Blessedness from James Allen. And we are reading the chapter labeled Hidden Sacrifices. And here's a picture of the book we're going to be reading out of today. Here it is. This is copy relatively early on. I like to read from as original as I can get. This one is the most original, but it's falling apart. So that's how we're going to have to do it today. So I am looking forward to it. This next part is really, really great. And it really has a lot of application for pretty much anybody that's really trying to do this work, right? So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and we'll get into it. You can also follow along in a copy like this. I just got off Amazon, I believe. And the page we're on is going to be the last paragraph on page 29, if you want to follow along on this one. So here we go. This is the third section about character qualities to sacrifice for blessedness in your life, in the chapter Hidden Sacrifices by James Allen in the book Byways of Blessedness. So here we go. Then there are little selfish indulgences, some of which appear harmless and are commonly fostered, but no selfish indulgence can be harmless, and men and women do not know what they lose by repeatedly and habitually succumbing to the effeminate and selfish gratifications. If the God in man is to rise strong and triumphant, the beast in man must perish. The pandering to the animal nature, even when it appears innocent and seems sweet, leads away from truth and blessedness. Each time you give way to the animal within you and feed and gratify him, he waxes stronger and more rebellious and takes a firmer possession of your mind, which should be in the keeping of truth. Not until a man has sacrificed some apparently trivial indulgence does he discover what strength, what joy, what pose of character, and holy influence he has all along been losing by that gratification. Not until a man sacrifices his hankering for pleasure does he enter the fullness of abiding joy. By his personal indulgences, a man demeans himself, forfeits his self-respect to the extent and the frequency of his indulgence, and deprives himself of exemplary influence and the power to accomplish lasting good in his work in the world. He also, by allowing himself to be led by blind desire, increases his mental blindness and fails of that ultimate clearness of vision, that clarified percipience, which pierces to the heart of things and comprehends real and the true. Animal indulgence is alien to the perception of truth. By the sacrifice of his indulgences, man rises above confusion and doubt and arrives at the possession of insight and surety. Sacrifice your cherished and coveted indulgence. Fix your mind on something higher, nobler, and more enduring than ephemeral pleasure. Live superior to the craving for sense excitement, and you will live neither vainly nor uncertainly. That's where we're going to end for today for that reading. Now, I love this section. These couple of paragraphs, they've got so much stuff in them, let me tell you. It's kind of incredible, actually, when you think about what constitutes a selfish indulgence, really. And what these couple of paragraphs are actually getting to the heart of. It's really a powerful thing to sit there and like do that inventory of what would be considered a selfish indulgence in my life. Now, this can be the obvious ones, which are obvious red flags, right? There is the drinking, there is drugs, there is sex addiction, gambling addiction, things like that. But it goes on to just attention. It goes on to prestige. It goes on to all those P's that VC Kitchen talks about when we were going through the book I Was a Pagan, right? All of these things we end up worshiping, they're selfish indulgences, right? And this can also even go down to like the tiny little self-indulgent sugar cravings we get. Like we're talking about just the distraction of zoning out to a movie, right? Could be considered in this, right? Because people end up abusing that. People end up using that to escape their problems instead of actually addressing the issue, right? So there's a lot that this can cover. So I am really looking forward to digging in. And again, look, this is how this turns out for me. Look at all this stuff. Like, again, every single James Allen just was so intentional about what he did. And it's hard to go through and just highlight the important stuff because it's all important, especially when we're breaking it down in this paragraph by paragraph type of format and characteristic by characteristic format more so here. So we're only doing like 3 paragraphs. And when you look at every single paragraph in this chapter, it's all relevant. It's all got weight and value. So, yeah, it all gets highlighted. An underlined random spot, not random, but things to be especially emphasized, right? So he starts out here. There are the little selfish indulgences, some of which appear harmless, right? Some of these things appear harmless, right? Like I said, sugar, eating, binge watching your favorite TV show, doom scrolling, just watching a movie regularly. They appear harmless and are commonly fostered. Like this is one problem I have with the self-care movement we have going on here. I believe it's getting skewed. I believe it's getting distorted. And I don't think that's a good thing. I believe we're conflating selfish indulgences with actual self-care, which is not the same thing, right? You going home and eating a bucket of ice cream and calling it self-care isn't the way this goes, right? That's not a healthy actual approach to taking care of yourself, right? Or just sitting in I don't even know, a bubble bath is not actually self-care, in my opinion. That's a selfish indulgence. That's a temporary pleasure that makes you feel good and escape your reality. It's James Allen talks about this in another one of his books. I believe it's the 8 Pillars of Prosperity. I think that's the name of the book. And people use vacations in an unhealthy way like this. They use vacations to escape their life, and that's not what a vacation. The vacation's intention is not to escape your day-to-day living. A vacation's intention is to give you the ability to recharge and to regain some solidarity in yourself, to return to be of service, right? You should not be living a life you feel like you need to escape. That is a problem. And this is where these selfish indulgences come in, right? On a day-to-day basis, hitting the snooze, right? Having whatever type of sweet you want to have, having whatever type of evening routine that involves unproductive things. It's kind of amazing. But we'll claim those as, I do that for me. It doesn't make it better. An unhealthy thing is an unhealthy thing, whether it's the one unhealthy thing you identify as okay or not. It still has this category of like being an unhealthy thing to do, right? Like, it might appear harmless, but and commonly fostered, right? A lot of times we have these, well, I got rid of this, but so I can do that, or this isn't that big of a deal, so I can hold on to these things, and the reality of it is it's all a very big deal. It all makes a difference. And that's why we're talking about this. So we know it's bad for us too, and we still do it, right? It might not reach the level of, per se, like addiction, a drug addiction or anything like that, or porn addiction or a video game addiction, right? Those are two other ones that are common in today's society that people get hung up on. But we don't need to, or excuse me, we know it's not good, but we still do it anyway because that's what we do for us. That's how I relax. No, that's how you disassociate from the world. I'm sorry. It's how you get lost in fantasy so you can escape your own reality right in your own chair. It's true. So there are the little self-indulgences, some of which appear harmless and are commonly fostered, right? Fostered, by the way, doesn't just mean held on to, but like nurtured and grown, right? Like I'm going to perfect my selfish indulgence, right? What kind of cookies do I like the best, right? What kind of video games will I spend hours on, right? Like what kind of movies will I just get lost in? What's my favorite trilogy, right? It's I've got one myself, to be fair. I don't want to give the impression that I am above these things, but this one's very important for me because I was somebody that was using very dangerous substances for a very long time. So you get rid of those and you think everything else is okay. But what James Allen's saying is, no, there's more we have to do, right? There's more work to do. And these selfish indulgences, whatever the form they might take, is that extra work we need to go into. So, but no selfish indulgence can be harmless, right? We think it's harmless. Oh, it's no big deal. It's not hurting anybody. Sound familiar? And men and women do not know what they lose by repeatedly and habitually succumbing to effeminate and selfish gratifications, right? So every time you do that, every time you give in to this little self-indulgence, this little treat you give yourself, this free pass you give yourself because you like it, calling it self-care, calling it excusing it as this is just who I am, this is just what I like. Yeah. It's not really harmless though. It's taking away from time that you could be better devoted to something else. It's taking away from time you could be with your family, time that you could be working on growing and improving yourself, time you could be refining who you are. This is time lost. So in that sense already, it's definitely causing harm. And then he goes on to say, and men and women do not know what they lose by repeatedly and habitually succumbing, which means to give in, by the way, by giving in to the effeminate and selfish gratifications, right? So, and when he says effeminate here, he means impulsive and emotion driven, right? It makes me feel good, right? When we're driven purely by that, there's an issue. There's a big issue, right? So, we don't even know what sacrifices we're making. We don't even know what we're giving up. We don't even know what distance we could go, what progress we are leaving on the table, because we are so concerned with just making ourselves feel better in a moment, right? Every time we succumb to this effeminate and selfish gratification, it's just for me to make myself feel better so I can get through the life that I built for myself or that I have to go through. It's extremely selfish, extremely self-serving. It's a self-indulgent behavior, right? And it's not healthy. Just because it's not objectively or immediately damaging does not mean it's something we should continue to participate in. Now, I know that's not going to be a popular opinion, I guess I'll call it. But it is the reality of it. I do believe it's our responsibility to become the best and most fulfilled version of who we are, right? So these things got to go. And I am thinking of things actively for myself that I need to let go of, to be honest with you. Reading this and studying this chapter really helps me. Remember, I have to reprioritize a few things, right? I might be leaving some stuff on the table. Might be leaving some actions I could be taking and some development and some progress I could be making on the table. And that's selfish of me to do. That's doing it myself a disservice and the people around me a disservice. My family, my friends, right? Like me continuing to indulge in these things really isn't good, right? I can put the sugar down, right? I can put limits on the apps I'm using. It's simple as that, right? Because I'm sacrificing my health, my concentration, my mental health by those two things alone. And I know I need to work on it. I know I need to sacrifice those things because I enjoy the selfish gratification I get out of it. It makes me feel good. It's an effeminate behavior, as you would say, right? And then he goes on, and I love this, right? This goes along with this common saying. There's two wolves inside each man and woman. That the one that wins is the one you feed, right? It's similar to that. They use light and dark, good and evil, usually in those examples. But here goes a little bit more, has some more significance. If the God in man is to rise strong and triumphant, the beast in man must perish. Now, so it's not good and evil. It's which master do you serve? The God in you, the beast in you, the animal in you, the God in you, right? Well, you fall prey to and fall victim to the cravings of flesh and that animal living, right? Many do. I mean, I still do in some ways, right? But it takes some intentionality to actually say, I want to let these things go so I can serve the purpose that God, my creator, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, has in store for me, right? I want to serve that part of me, right? There's many that think we are the meeting point of a soul and an animal, right? We were an animal infused with God's spirit, right? Or whatever you might want to say. Receiving the Holy Spirit, as some might say. A piece of the Godhead, as some others might say, right? The energy of the universe and the source within us. Many ways to say that same thing, right? So, which piece do you want to serve? Which piece will you actively engage in? Right? Which do you serve? Because you serve one. Your selfish, animalistic, pleasure-seeking, self-gratifying self-indulgences? Or will you serve the God of your understanding and others and be helpful and kind and loving and to be others-focused rather than yourself-focused? Which will you do? Because that's the choice you have in the master that you serve. And if you serve yourself, then you are serving the animal. Guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. So if the God in man is to rise strong and triumphant, so if you want that goodness within you, that strength and that power that you've received from that power greater than yourself, that God of your understanding, to rise strong and triumphant, you have to absolutely let the beast in you perish. And the beast in you stays alive through these selfish indulgences. The pandering to the animal nature, even when it appears innocent and seems sweet, leads away from the truth and blessedness. So it's deceiving. It's very, very deceiving, right? It seems innocent. It seems like it shouldn't be that big of a deal. It seems like, hey, I can at least keep this. This should be mine. I should have this. No. Anything that feeds that animal part of us, anything that feeds that selfish and self-centered nature that we just by default have, it's not good. It's not going to serve us well. We're serving the wrong master when we accept those things, and we'll hold on to them. Like I hold on to things. I've held on to many things. Just sunk my fingers right into them, and when I let things go, there's usually claw marks in them. That's a common phrase I've heard. Right? I've tried to hold on to things for so long, and it really does lead you away from truth. It really does lead you away from blessedness, because when you're constantly having these things in your life that you're clinging to for dear life just to make yourself feel better because you can't stand living, right? You feel like you've got to escape something, right? It feeds a certain part of you that isn't truth, that isn't blessedness, right? You don't know every time you engage in that self-indulgence, you don't know what you're actually sacrificing. That's what we were talking about before. And if you can keep that in mind, it'll carry you very, very far. And it'll give you motivation to actually take the actions to let go of these self-indulgences. So, each time you give way to the animal within you and feed and gratify him, he waxes stronger and more rebellious and takes firmer possession of your mind, which should be in the keeping of truth. So, not only are you just holding on to this animal side of you, this selfish, self-serving side of you, pleasure-driven side of you, self-gratification-driven side of you, not only are you just holding on to it, but when you are giving into this every single time you do that, you're giving that part of you strength, right? Every choice you make, every choice I make feeds the animal side of me or the God side of me. I have to choose, right? This is where the choice of the virtuous path comes from, right? The narrowing path, which is what this whole thing's about, the spiritual walk, right? This whole podcast is about that. Right? You have to choose, because every choice will be either to serve yourself or to serve God and others, right? That's the direct experience you have to actually see is happening, right? You have to actually understand that there's no neutral ground. You're either given the animal side of your strength or the God side of your strength. It's your choice. Which master will you serve, right? And when you serve the animal side, James Allen states here, he waxes stronger and more rebellious. He starts to take more, right? These little indulgences lead to bigger behavioral problems, right? And this is similar to people that just go and have one drink and then they end up returning to their substance of choice, right? Or the people that engage with pornography and then they end up cheating on their spouse, right? It escalates. Whenever we give ourselves over to these things, right? People that watch movies too often, right? Gives way to procrastination. Suddenly things start slipping. Suddenly other things stop taking priority. Suddenly you're stuck in this cycle, right? So these little indulgences escalate. They keep the animal alive. They keep the beast alive, right? We need to, when we sacrifice these self-indulgent behaviors, we starve that animal, we starve that beast, and we make room for what the God of our understanding has available to us. We make room for a better life. We make room for different decisions. We make room for different behaviors. These things are distracting from our purpose, from keeping truth, right? Truth is, I love that he puts this in here, because he doesn't just say stop it. He says stop it because this is what you should be doing. Your mind, how did he phrase it? it takes firmer possession of your mind when the beast, the animal side of you, if you keep giving into these selfish indulgences, will take a firmer possession of your mind. And that's not good, because your mind should be in the keeping of truth. Truth with a capital T, by the way, which means it's of righteous origin, of godly origin, is why he does that. But you should be focused on pursuing truth. And when you're partaking in these selfish indulgences, you're not seeking truth. What you're seeking is to escape from reality. And guess where truth is found? Reality. It's found right now, in this moment. It's not found on the other side of a movie. It's not found on the other side of that piece of cake. It's not found at the end of the porn. It's not found at the end of whatever the self-indulgence is for you, right? It's not found at the end of a shopping trip, right? Guilt's found at the end of those. Shame is found at the end of those. What those do is those pull us out of a present moment. They pull us out of reality. And when that happens, truth is not within our grasp. Truth is not in our mind to be kept anymore, right? We're not giving it space. It's amazing to actually think about that, as how significant of an impact that has. And that's what we're robbing ourselves of, the opportunity to continue to partake in and have in our lives, is that constant pursuit of truth. It's amazing. But that's what we sacrifice. So, not until a man has sacrificed some... Well, I actually want to cross-reference that real quick. Okay. Not until a man has sacrificed. Yeah, it's a past tense. It's supposed to be a past tense. This book, this Amazon copy I have, didn't put the D on there, which I know it seems insignificant, but these are just probably at this point AI generated. They find the online version and they just print it. So that is supposed to be, if you're following along in this, not until a man has sacrificed some apparently trivial indulgence does he discover what strength, what joy, and what poise of character and holy influence he has all along been losing by that gratification. So you have to sacrifice it first, right? The sacrifice has to come first. You have to make the space for it. A lot of us like to have we want to have the next thing in our hand, right? Well, if I'm going to let this go, I have to have the next thing in place to fulfill it. It's not how this goes. You got to have some faith in this journey. We talked about that last time, right? In the last episode, you got to have some faith in the journey, and you have to actually make the space for the blessedness to come in, right? It's not, well, I'm going to have blessedness, then I'm going to let this go. If you could have both, you would have both. No, you have to let go of the selfish indulgence first for the blessedness to actually come in, right? And you can't even articulate or have any real knowledge of what it's going to feel like or what it's going to be that manifests in your life when you let this self-indulgence go. But something will come in, and it will be better, and it will be worth it at the end of the day. But you have to have faith and trust that the God of your understanding will put what you need there, right? But we care about our own selfish indulgences so much. We care about our own selfish gratification so much. We don't believe it, or we don't want to trust it, whatever it may be. Or we want a guarantee of what's going to be like before we actually let it go, right? Because we think that selfish indulgence is serving us in some positive way, and it's not. There's more than we could ever realize waiting for us out there, but we're just not willing to let go of the little things. But we have to let go first before it can come in. And sometimes we're put in a position where that truth is made painfully obvious. It comes in the form of consequences, broken relationships, damaged relationships, legal consequences, financial consequences, right? Health consequences. We suddenly realize these unhealthy behaviors that we've adopted for our own selfish reasons become the poison that we're killing ourselves with. Okay. Not until a man has sacrificed some apparently trivial indulgence does he discover what joy, and poise of character. Don't we want that? Poise of character, strength, joy, and holy influence. That's a big term, by the way. Holy influence he has all along been losing by that gratification. Not until a man sacrifices his hankering for pleasure, because that's what it's all about, making us feel better, does he enter into the fullness of abiding joy, right? Holy influence. Like, I just want to think about that, right? Like, that divine presence, right? To help, right? It's not to control, but to help lift other people, to help encourage, to help build, right? Holy influence. Isn't that one of the most beautiful things to aspire towards? To hope that you're blessed with, right? But we don't even give ourselves the chance to have it. We don't even know what fullness of abiding joy we're missing out on. But after we make that sacrifice and make the room, we will find it. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, as they say, but it will show up. Now, this part is really important because it puts into context now what actually happens every single time you partake in that selfish indulgence to your actual personal character, I'll say. By his personal indulgences, a man demeans himself. You demean yourself. Forfeits self-respect to the extent and frequency of his indulgence, and deprives himself of exemplary influence and the power to accomplish lasting good in his work in the world. You are doing this to yourself. You are letting go of strength. You are letting go of self-respect because you're doing something you know you shouldn't be doing. There's no one out there. I mean, I can't say that. Most people know, and especially when you're hearing something like this, you know there is something that comes to your mind most of the time, probably multiple things that are coming to your mind that you know you need to stop doing, that fall directly into this category, right? And you know every time you do it, you lose respect for yourself. You demean yourself. You put yourself in a position where you destroy and undermine your own confidence, which therefore your influence to help others is gone. You're giving this away every single time you partake in that selfish indulgence, right? We're supposed to be examples for our families, our children, our partners, right? Examples for our coworkers and our bosses. We're supposed to be examples for those who surround us. And we actually let them down when we do these things. We actually are sacrificing the opportunity to be better of service to those when we engage in these selfish indulgences. We demean ourselves. We forfeit self-respect. And I like how he says forfeit self-respect to the extent and frequency of this indulgence. If you're screwing up all the time, you're never going to respect yourself, right? The severity or the consistency increases, your self-respect decreases, right? And accomplishing lasting good in the world, in his work in the world, right? You're losing that power. You're losing that influence. He also by allowing himself to be led by blind desire, because you're doing it for selfish gratification, pleasure-seeking behaviors to escape from reality, so you just feel better about you, so I just feel better about me, right? By blind desire increases his mental blindness, right? So you're going to start seeing less and less and less, right? You're feeding that beast side of you. You're feeding that animal side of you. So that means there's less truth being able to fill your mind. So your mental blindness is increasing. You're becoming more selfish, more self-centered, right? Which can lead to frustration, irritability, discontentment. It can lead to fear, depression, self-pity. Every single mental health issue that's out there. That's become such a huge issue today. Those ones, right? Increases his mental blindness and fails of that ultimate clearness of vision, that clarified perceptions, which pierces to the heart of things and comprehends the real and the true, right? That's what we're sacrificing. Perceptions means, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, by the way, but it means gosh, I had it. Good perspective, right? Clarified and good perspective. And so, okay. The mental blindness, you're sacrificing your clarity of vision. So you're stopping being able to see things for what they actually are. Your perceptions, which is your good perspective. So you're usually becoming more self-centered, usually becoming more self-absorbed, right? Because you're just doing things for yourself only. They are not servicing others. So again, the animal's getting fed, the beast is getting fed. So you're losing ground there, right? Your vision is narrowing, not in a good way, right? It's becoming completely focused again on you, right? Clearness of vision, clarified perceptions, which pierces to the heart of things and comprehends the real and the true, right? The real and the true. You'll stop seeing what's real and what's true. Now, that's a terrifying thought, because I've been delusional before. I've lived in this own little fantasy world in my own head before. When you get out of it, you never want to go back. But these selfish little indulgences, those are what'll bring you back every time, right? Those are the little things that come around the sides that you don't realize are really chipping away at your sense of reality, that are taking away from your opportunity to participate actively in your own life and in this world, right? We don't realize that we're sacrificing the ability to see what's real and what's true when we're going in and participating in these selfish indulgences. Animal indulgence is alien to the perception of truth. Truth is never make myself feel better. Never let myself escape from reality. That is never truth. So these selfish indulgences don't align with truth. But by the sacrifice of his indulgences, man rises above confusion and doubt. Things I want to rise above. I want that clarity. I don't want to be doubtful anymore, right? And arrives at the possession, so you'll have this, right, of insight and surety. You will have a sense of confidence. You have a sense of understanding, perspective, of insight, right? Because the selfish indulgences are taken out of your life, right? You've stopped participating in them. So you have a sense of self-respect, which breeds a confidence, right? And you have this sense of perspective because you know what you've sacrificed, so you can see things as they truly are when others are not sacrificing this, or they're stuck in their ways, or they're having a hard time, or they're going through whatever they're going through, right? But you could see the full picture of things, right? You have insight. Insight and surety. Mental clarity. What a beautiful thing to have. Confidence. What a beautiful thing to have, right? Things I never knew I could have. But the more I get rid of out of my life, the more of these selfish indulgences I remove from my life, the more of that I get. Now to close this out, sacrifice your cherished and coveted indulgence. Fix your mind on something higher, nobler, and more enduring than ephemeral pleasure. Live superior to the craving for sense excitement, and you will live neither vainly nor uncertainly. So this is how to live, right? So he's telling us in summation what we need to do next. So sacrifice your cherished and coveted indulgence, right? It is coveted. We hold it close to our chest. Well, I need this to get through. I need this, right? That's, like I said, that self-care movement, I think it's gotten tainted over the years because of those types of things. Fix your mind on something higher. Don't have desires to feel better, have aspirations to be better. It's a much different thing, right? When you desire, you want to bring it to you. When you aspire, you want to go to it. You want to become something better. You want to improve yourself. You want to go on a journey to grow into something that you aspire to be, right? Desire and aspire are not the same thing. So, fix your mind on something higher, nobler, and more enduring than ephemeral pleasure. Ephemeral meaning temporary, right? Like something that just makes you feel better in a moment, like we've been talking about here. Live superior to the craving for the sense excitement, right? We love the exciting things in life. I know I do, right? When I got into recovery, everyone was worried, stressed, like, hey, the hard times when they get difficult, you're going to, like, you might think about having a drink or a drug or this or that, and you just get through it. It'll get better, right? The hardest times for me have been when things are good. The excitement of living is the most distracting thing that I've found in my recovery, right? This sense excitement, right? I like the energy that comes in through my five senses, right? Movies, excitement, right? The sounds, the lights, I like sweet food, tasty things, right? I like the savory meals, like all of these things. Sense excitement is what brings us into that animal beast mode that will take actions that we know we shouldn't be taking. And so live superior to the craving for sense excitement, and you will live neither vainly nor uncertainly, right? Your life will mean something, and you will have surety in it. You will have confidence in it. You will have purpose and direction in it, and you will achieve, make an impact. Isn't that the reason why we're here? I guess that's up for debate, but I do believe it's close to that. So, but that's it. That brings us to a close. I'm looking forward to the next one. I really am enjoying this. I hope y'all are getting just as much out of this as I am. And I appreciate all of the support. Go ahead, give us a like, a subscribe here on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook, on TikTok, or Instagram, whatever you'd like to do. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to listen there too. So, but thank you so much for all the support, and I'm looking forward to next week. So, until next time, thanks.